All right, I just heard the recording progress, which probably means I need to be in my best behavior right now. So, well, we'll go ahead and get started. So if you have a second again, feel free to share with the group where you're dialing in from, and we'll go ahead and get started. So, all right, Ricardo from Colombia, Bogota. I was just talking to Cecilia, and I just missed going to Latin America and visiting Bogota, and can't wait to come back, hopefully next year. So, all right, so this is a Texas McCombs info session. My name is Rodrigo Malta. I am the Managing Director of MBA Recruitment and Admissions here at Texas McCombs. So I oversee those functions for all of our MBA programs. This info session will be full-time MBA specific. And I did not make a mistake. I say your hosts in plural because I'm the one with the Longhorn hat in the picture. My husband, Dave, is the one next to me. And he might kind of walk in behind me or next to me. I'm in our pottery studio, so he may walk by. So if you see him, I am making him an unofficial host. And more importantly, or as importantly, we have two dogs that are very noisy. So if you hear some barks, it's them trying to participate on this info session. So in addition to me, you get my husband and my dogs, maybe as special guests if you're lucky. But anyways, really excited to be here. A little bit about my background. I'm originally from Brazil. I was born and raised in Recife, which is a city in the northeast of Brazil. Moved to the US, was in high school. So I immigrated to the US, and the international student experience is really near and dear to my heart because that's the experience that I went through as I went to undergraduate and graduate studies in the US. I was in Missouri for several years, an internal auditor at a telecom company before I decided to pursue my MBA studies at Texas McCombs. I graduated class of 2007, worked at Dell, which is headquartered here in Austin, for about a year before I started this role back in 2008. So I've been around in MBA admissions for a while. It is my dream job. And again, really excited to be with all of you from Latin America, which is where I'm from. Yo hablo un poquito de español, pero mi português é muito melhor. Então, bem-vindo aos brasileiros que estão aqui também. So let's get started. The rest of the presentation is all in English because I'll get utterly confused with slides in English and me speaking in Portuguese and Spanish. So what we have for our time together, an overview of our academic program. I'll talk a little bit about experiential learning and student involvement opportunities, career advancement and student journeys. I have a couple of Latin American student journeys to walk you through, and then we'll talk all things MBA admissions. I would like this to be as interactive as possible. So as I'm going through each of the sections, I'll stop and see if you have questions at that point in time. And the way we're gonna work questions is if you will raise your hand via Zoom, I'll call your name, you can unmute yourself. Actually, you might not be able to talk because I think we are in webinar mode. So better yet, as you have questions, actually use the chat function where you introduce where you're from, and then I will go through and answer questions that you have. So I'll be monitoring, keeping an eye on that as I'm going through the presentation and just run through the questions that you have. Again, you can message the questions directly to me, or you can message it so everybody else can see. So let's get started. So a little bit about our academic curriculum. So we have an amazing academic and classroom experience here at Texas McCombs. We are very proud of our team-based learning model. So what that means is we bring in a cohort of about 260 students, and we split you into additional kind of mini cohorts of about 60 students each. So within the cohorts, you're assigned study groups, and you're going to be going through the core academic core experience together with your cohort and your study group. So you'll be sitting with those same individuals for the core classes, and then all your group projects are going to be done with the study group that you are assigned for those core classes. The common core experience is the basis for everything that we do. In the class of 260 students, we have individuals from a variety of different backgrounds, both academic and professional backgrounds. So it's really important for us to give everyone the same academic foundation to start from, so they can take the more advanced courses in business that we're able to offer through concentrations and electives. We have amazing faculty members. They are researchers, but also practitioners. We're often ranked number 1, number 2, number 3 in Princeton's review of best faculty. And that is because of 2 criteria. One, the professors are amazing at teaching, but then also extremely accessible. So we have a highly collaborative environment here at Texas McCombs, and that permeates beyond our students into our faculty members as well. This is a snapshot of 2 years, so there is a lot to see and take in. This chart is also on our website. So if you go under the curriculum page in our website, you'll be able to see this kind of bird's eye view of the curriculum. But what I wanted to highlight here are a couple things. One, the curriculum is highly customizable. So nearly half of your first year and all of your second year is a self-selected coursework. So you're gonna have the ability to really build the MBA program that is right for you. And then the other thing that I wanted to point out here are the classes that are actually listed. So accounting, finance, stats, microeconomics, marketing operations, and strategy are those core classes that I talked about, where you're going to be taking the classes with your cohort. One other thing that I wanted to point out, we have a strategic career planning course that happens during your first semester. You meet once a week with the career advisors as a cohort. And then you have access to the career advisors at any point in time. And we have a Leading for Impact personal leadership development program that is delivered throughout the time that you are with us at McCombs. And that development plan, kind of in your first semester, you do a lot of assessments to understand where you are, where you need to grow, where you're strong at. And then throughout the time that you're with us, you're going to be working with communication coaches and advisors that will really be helping you to drive that personal leadership development plan, either by taking certain classes or partaking in certain experiential learning opportunities. And then at the end of the day, as you graduate, we bring the cohort and study groups together to work on a project that's a capstone to that personal development plan and also your time here at Texas McCombs. So that is the curriculum in a broad bird's eye view again. We do have a variety of MBA concentrations that you can decide to pursue. So our MBA concentrations are a tailored set of courses designed to really focus your academic coursework in a particular functional area or industries in case you are targeting a specific career opportunity. It is very important to note, though, that Texas McCombs students are not required to choose a concentration. You can very much pursue one if you'd like to, but what most of our students actually end up doing is looking across the concentrations and building the program that's right for them with their academic and career advisors. We have concentration tracks that are STEM certified. So this is very important for our international students that want to take advantage of the STEM certification and stay in the US a little longer from a work perspective. If you pursue a STEM certified path, you would need to select a concentration and pursue it, because the STEM certification will be verified based on the concentration that you complete. Don't worry though, because the one concentration may take 12 to 20 hours. So you will still have time, even if you pursue a STEM certified concentration, to pick a number of electives to round out your experience here at Texas McCombs. So All right, I feel like I've been speaking a lot. So I would like to see if you have questions right now about the curriculum and maybe what we offer from an academic perspective. So Cecilia, I think you mentioned on the chat to me that you can unmute participants. So let's try that. So participants, if you have a question, if you raise your hand, we will unmute you and you can ask your question, or you can type it up as well.
So if people want to raise their hands, and I'll ask them to unmute, or I'll allow them to talk.
Perfect. You're also welcome to chat the question on the chat box as well. So I did receive a question from an attendee, and the question was regarding how the McCombs MBA program respond to the tech exodus from California to Texas. That is a great question, and we are extremely fortunate to be in an amazing city in Austin, in a very business-friendly state in Texas. We are the premier and the premier and also the main university in the state when it comes to research. So we are really well positioned to capitalize on companies that are either moving significant operations, headquarters here to the city of Austin. We're the main talent producer for the city. So anytime you see in the news, for example, Oracle just moved their headquarters to from California to Austin. Tesla is building their next gigafactory just in our backyard here by the airport. So anytime you see big companies like that coming to the city, they usually come to the university and meet with individuals on a career management team. And usually they're interested in meeting with our career management team in the business school and in the engineering school, because those are the primary pools of talent that come from the university to those companies. So we're looking to very much capitalize and cultivate the companies that are moving to Austin, that are coming to Texas. But we also have a national reputation and a national brand, and we place a significant number of our students, so close to 35 to 40% of our students actually are placed outside of Texas. And when you look at Texas, the majority of our students are split between Dallas, Austin, and Houston. So, but we love to see Californians and the California companies moving here to Austin. So. All right, I will move to the next section, which is student involvement. And I just see a couple questions. So there is a question about, does the program allow to choose electives from other schools within the University of Texas? And the answer to that is yes. That is a great question, and I didn't mention it during the slides, but we allow you to take classes outside of the business school. Most often the classes that our students take are either in the law school, in the School of Public Policy, also some classes in the communication school, and in the engineering school. So depending on the concentration or your area of interest, you might be taking classes outside of the business school. And when you look at the electives that are offered at the business school, you will also see in other graduate students from other programs. So it allows for a really interesting classroom discourse and that those different points of views that come together in the classroom at McCombs themselves. So there was a question about the types of jobs and companies students get into on the concentration they select. So I'm going to cover that when I talk a little bit more about career. So I'll give you an overview where we place the students both in industry and functional areas. So I'll address that during that time. So, all right. The second part of the presentation, second of four, is student involvement and experiential opportunities. So we really believe that you learn by doing at Texas McCombs, and we have a ton of experiential learning opportunities for you to partake on. And I feel like this is really the place where you see the really strong tie of the University of Texas and the city of Austin. So when you think of top 20 MBA programs in the US, hardly any, maybe one or two, can replicate the experience that you will have at Texas McCombs in Austin. Austin is a growing city, the fastest growing large city in the US. It is a magnet for talent and companies and opportunities. So our students will have access to a really vibrant business community to put to practice what they're learning in the classroom. But at the same time, Austin is much smaller than San Francisco, Chicago, and New York, which means that it's highly accessible. So if you think about the majority of the business activity in Austin happens downtown, so 1st through 15th Street, for example, our campus is actually on 20th Street. So we have a campus that's right in the middle of everything, which means when we built our new building, which opened 3 years ago, we wanted for it to be in that intersection of business and academics, and really accessible for the business community, for our students to get out in the business community as well. So when you're looking at experiential learning opportunities, we have micro consulting projects that our students are able to partake on at any point in time in the program, in the semesters they're in. The micro consulting projects are a great way for career switchers and explorers to learn something new about a new industry or functional area. It's completely optional, but most of our students take advantage of it their first or second semester. The micro consulting projects take 4 to 6 weeks. And from a time commitment perspective, you'll be working on the micro consulting projects, 10 to 15 hours a week. They are very well scoped projects. You work in a team of 4 to 5 individuals, and you have some really solid deliverables that you're then able to add to your resume as a resume bullet point, and really utilize that experience as you're interviewing for internships and full-time jobs. The MBA Plus projects, you would apply to be a part of them like you would a regular job, and the company champion will basically select the team that's going to be working in the project. You're also welcome to start your own MBA Plus micro consulting project with a company with assistance of our career advising team and our MBA Plus team. And then in that case, you'll be able to pick your own team. So it's, again, a great way to put to practice what you're learning in the classroom and build some business connections with some of our key corporate employers. And you will see, generally speaking, 40 to 45 projects in any given semester. So we actually have more projects than students to fill them. And the projects, you will see large corporations, but you also see some small and mid-sized firms that are here in the Austin area that are looking for help and would love to have that MBA brain power to help them through maybe a business plan or maybe a marketing plan or an operations plan, etc. The experiential learning opportunities through the MBA, the McCombs Plus program, also entails one-on-one coaching with communication coaches and specialty coaches in particular industries. So if you are looking, for example, to enhance your public speaking skills, we have specialized communication coaches that will work with you at any point in time in a specific areas, be it a communication, or maybe you're looking for expertise in product management and you want to go a little bit deeper with somebody that is an expert in their area, so you can work with a coach in that particular area. We have a variety of seminars and workshops, both virtually and in person. And as far as the McCombs Plus program. And then also you have a variety of global opportunities that you can partake on that I'll cover in the next slide. The global opportunities are kind of vast. As you can see, you have an opportunity to go all over the world in a variety of different manners. So if you think about the time commitment that it takes to experience something abroad when you're already studying abroad, coming from Latin America and somewhere else in the world into the United States, We have opportunities for you to do global connection study tours, which last about 2 weeks. Again, a great way for you to get to know how business is done in a place that's different than the US and different than your home country. The Global Connection Study Tours happen over spring break every year. We have a 2-week spring break, and you're able to select the trip like you'd select a class. And there are usually 6 to 7 destinations where you have the ability to go abroad during that time frame. If you're looking for a little bit larger commitment of studying abroad, you can do semester exchange programs, which are probably very similar to the semester exchange programs you experience in undergrad, where you go abroad for a full semester. In addition to that, we kind of the highest commitment level are double degree programs where you would work with one of our partner schools, and you end up getting 2 MBAs, one from McCombs, one from the partner school as well. The commitment there is a little bit bigger because you'd be spending probably a year and a half at McCombs and a year abroad, so it would mean that you would not have a summer internship. We have a variety of shorter study abroad opportunities, like a short-term study abroad, leadership program in Patagonia, which is actually a class. You go over there in the winter break. And the McCombs Adventure Program is a great way to get to know your classmates in a social manner and give back to the community. So you'd go to, right now, the trips that we have for the McCombs Adventure Programs, they are community service projects with schools in Mexico. So great opportunities to go abroad, but understanding that you are all coming from abroad, you might want to stay in the US and in Austin and enjoy what we have to offer there as well. We have a variety of student organizations for you to be involved in. So we have fellows groups and investment fund, where you can go kind of very deep in a particular either functional area or industry. These fellows programs and investment funds, they're all by application. So you apply to be a part of them. And if selected, usually they range in size between 10 and 30 students. You will apply to be a part of them during the first semester. In the second semester, you take a class that will be with your fellows or investment fund group. And then there is usually a kind of a practitioner component to it. So you'll be working with a company or an organization in the particular industry or subject area. Oftentimes, the fellows group and investment funds activities that happen during the spring semester will kind of lead you into an internship in the companies that you're going to be working with. So if you know exactly what you want to do as you're going through the MBA program and it's one of these areas, you want to investigate it and see if you want to participate in it, because they're a great way to build connections and also kind of build that bridge for a future internship and full-time role. In addition to those, we have what we call open enrollment MBA student organizations. So they span a variety of special interests, sports and recreation, affinity groups, some are professional and career-based. So a variety of ways to be involved. We have over 40 MBA student organizations. So my advice to incoming students is to, participate maybe actively in 5 to 8 student organizations just for fun, and then take a leadership role in 1 to 3 max. So by taking a leadership role in a student organization is a great way for you to get to know the students in the class before and after you, but then also give back to the McCombs community. But because of the time management situation and you have a lot going on, you wouldn't want to be in a leadership role in more than 1 up to 3 student organizations, but join as many as your heart desires. So. I did want to highlight a little bit about where you're going to be going to school, because it is really important. So the first place that you're going to be going to school is Rolling Hall, which is our brand new building on the UT campus, as I mentioned, in the intersection of the business community and academic community here in Austin. It's 5 stories, dozens of classrooms, over 50 study rooms, tons of outdoor spaces. There is a gym inside the building, huge auditorium. We have a video recording studio, special event space, and ton of student lounging spaces as well. It is an amazing, amazing facility that was built with our MBA student in mind. So this is the MBA building for the McCombs School of Business. So we have now a great space and place for you to spend your 2 years. It's also a great place and space for you to invite those that are going to be contributing to your MBA journey, both in the personal and professional manner. So community organizations that you become a part of, business groups or companies that you're going to be working with as you're going through the MBA program. We have a ton of meeting space that are available to our students to host those that they feel would gain from being in our building as well. So anyways, a great space to go to school. And then the second piece about place is Austin. And when I started this job over 15 years ago, I had to explain to a lot of individuals where Austin was and what Austin is. But thanks to a variety of celebrity residents like Elon Musk and others, like Matthew McConaughey, I feel like people know where Austin is and what Austin is all about. And now we've been, it's kind of embarrassing that we are always ranked #1 on everything. So it is, though, behind the rankings, a great place to live and a great place to go to school. So in addition to the opportunities of a vibrant business community, we have an incredible art scene, great live music. The weather is agreeable most of the time, except in the summer, it's kind of hot. But you are really able to do things outside. So if you like hiking, if you guys swimming, going to the lake, stand-up paddleboarding, climbing, you can do it all kind of right here. So it's a great place for you to go to school and engage, but also a great place to have fun and disconnect. So having that balance is really important. And I think Austin does give you that. And I feel this is kind of an old slide by now, but there are, I feel like, announcements of large companies either moving their headquarters or large operations to Austin all the time. Like, I feel like we don't even have, oh yeah, Apple is there, I just saw. So it is kind of crazy and really exciting at the same time. And we have an amazing and large alumni network at the end of the day. So I wanted to pause here to see what questions you have about experiential learning opportunities, life in Austin, etc. So I see a few questions on the Q&A. So there was a question about, we have many MBA students from South America. We have a few, so in a class of 260, we have anywhere between 5 and 10 South Americans. And I'm not counting our Mexican students there. We usually have, 8 to 10 Mexican students in any given year, just because of proximity with Mexico. Those students there are in Monterrey, which is a large business center in Mexico. They can actually drive to go to school in Austin, which is really nice. So we have a significant Mexican contingency, but we do have quite a few South American students as well. There was a question about their resources for startups for the alumni. So we actually have alumni career management for life. So your engagement with our career management team and career advising team carries on beyond your 2 years. So you can meet with a career advisor even if after you graduate. And your engagement with the school, especially if you're going to be doing a startup, will continue. So the best way for you to engage with the school is with a startup is through Texas Venture Labs, and you can do that and work on your startup while you're going to school. And using graduate, you can continue to cultivate that relationship and get MBAs to work on your startup as well, which is a great opportunity too. There was a question about if your undergrad degree is from another country, but you currently live and work in the USA, will still be needed to apply as an international student. So the international student qualification is based on your visa status, actually. So you are either, you have 3 buckets. So you're either a US citizen, or you're a permanent resident, which kind of puts you more or less as in the US resident category. And everything else, you're considered an international student, which means you will need a visa sponsorship. So you need an I-20, etc., to come into the US. So there was a question about our acceptance rate. So we generally accept 25 to 35% of our applicant pool in any given year. We've had a significant increase in applications for the past 2 years. We just increased our class size this year from 240 last year to about 270. And we're going to be probably looking at a class of 260, 270 going forward. So, all right. So let me go through a little bit of our career management support, and then a very high level overview of the application process. So career outcomes, great career outcomes. I think the biggest highlight here is best ROI when you look at top 20 MBA programs in the US. We have really amazing career management support as you go through the program. So your engagement with our career team actually starts before orientation over the summer. They're going to be engaging with you virtually, either via Zoom or via Teams. As you transition into campus in person through orientation, you spend a lot of time working with our career management team in the introspection side of aligning your personal and professional goals. So many career management teams around the country will jump into working on your resume and preparing you for interviews, and making sure you understand what are the opportunities available in a variety of industries, etc. For us, the work starts with you, and we'll support you along the way. And the work that starts with you is that introspection to understand what really makes you tick, what are you passionate about, and how do we align those things that are important to you personally with what you're gonna be pursuing professionally. So the introspection is hard. It takes a lot of time, but we have career advisors and coaches that will walk you through that. And as you align your personal and professional goals, you'll see that everything else kind of falls into place. So after you align those and we align them with you, then and only then will our career management team start to work with you on your resume and your LinkedIn and your interview preparation, all the way to offer negotiation. And our career management team is amazing at all of those things. But I think what really differentiates what we do is wanting and needing to understand who you are as a person, to understand what is going to make you happy in the short term and the long term. We like individuals to achieve their goals, and beyond that, we want those goals to make them happy. So we are, at the end of the day, really vested in the relationship that you have with us as a school, not only for the time that you're here in person in Austin, but also beyond as well as you graduate. So it's really important to us that you take the time to understand who you are and grow as much in the program personally as you are professionally. And we have a team that's going to make that happen. So with that in place, and with the academic knowledge that you gain in an MBA program, you will unlock a number of opportunities. So we do really well in the tech industry, as you would expect. So about 32% of our students go into tech. But we also place really well in consulting and financial services. So what you see here is a great kind of diversity of industries And when you look at the size of the companies that are actually recruiting our students, you will see, of course, the Googles and Apples in tech, and the Bains and BCGs in consulting, and the investment banks. But what you will also see is a variety of mid to small size firms that will recruit our students. So as you're going through the recruitment process, you'll be exposed to a ton of different opportunities all over the US. From a functional perspective, again, just a different view of what that recruitment process looks like. We do have a pretty detailed employment report that we post online that's on our website. So you'll be able to really see kind of what kind of placement looks like from top recruiting partners, and then also where people are securing their jobs and starting salaries for specific industries and functional areas. All right, so I'll take a moment there because the next slides that I have are primarily around the class profile and a little bit about the application process. So there was a question about loans and co-signers. So McCombs does not, we're not able to co-sign loans with students, but we do have financial aid officers that are ready and in the MBA program, ready to answer questions that you have about financing. So we oftentimes, when it comes to international students, we connect you also with international students from the same country, so they can talk to you about their experience in securing loans, etc. So there was a question about opportunities in finance and financial services. So financial services is actually a pretty big bucket. So that entails investment banking, for example. We have investment banking concentration. It also entails, we have corporate finance, for example. There's energy finance, real estate finance. So there's a variety of opportunities. In finance, we also place fairly well in venture capital, and we've had some success in private equity as of late, even though those are very, very hard to place in. So for the person that had that question, you can always email me as well, and then I can for sure help you kind of distill and give you additional information as needed. That serves as a reminder for me to put my email address actually on the chat. So for those of you that have questions as we go into the kind of the last part of the presentation, that you can email me afterwards. So, all right. So let's go through class profile really quickly, and then a high-level overview of the application process, and then I'll open it up with questions. So the class of 2022, again, it was 240 students. We had some COVID-related capacity restrictions on campus. It is the plan to go fully in person, 100% capacity for the fall. So as our students start the program this fall, which actually starts on August 1st. So our students are going to be 100% back in person, which is really exciting, and we're really super happy about. The class profile is usually 35 to 40% women. A significant percentage of our class is underrepresented in US minorities. The international percentage here is 11%, which is very low. Last year, we had a lot of international student deferrals because of the COVID situation. We're looking to be back up between 25 and 30% international for the incoming class. You can see the class averages for age, work experience, GMAT, GRE, and GPA as well. I did want to walk you through a couple of journeys from some of our Latin American students. Hector was a student that just graduated, class of 2020. He's originally from Colombia, really great guy. Went to the Universidad de los Andes, and had more of a finance, planning, controller type of experience before an MBA. He really wanted to work for Nike, and we're really excited that he was able to make that work. So he interned for global supply chain finance at Nike and landed a job as a finance manager at Nike in Portland. So he's actually going to be a part of Saturday's event. So I wanted to share kind of his profile here, because if you see him, you kind of know a little bit more about him and ask questions. The other profile that I had is Guilherme Junqueira. He's originally from Brazil, so he's a country buddy of mine, and he was in the mineral industry in product before coming to do his MBA. He did a really cool internship in private equity back in Brazil, but he wanted to stay in the US. So he also partnered that up with an internship at Bimbo Bakeries, the arm of Bimbo that's here in the US, and he ended up securing a role in strategy at Bimbo up in Philadelphia. So again, another really kind of great profile and kind of MBA journey. Guilherme is super friendly as well. So if you connect with him on LinkedIn, you're more willing to do so, and I can make that connection happen as well. So, all right. So last thing, I'm applying to McCombs. So we have 3 deadlines. First one is in October, second in January, last in March. The round 1 is the priority scholarship deadline, which means we have all of our scholarship funding available in round 1. That does not mean that there aren't any scholarships available for round 2 and 3. We usually have scholarships available for round 2 and round 3, but we are the most generous with our scholarships in round 1 because we have all of our budget. The round 2 is our largest round. So if you're thinking about applying, you are all doing some great work ahead of time right now. So you could likely submit your application by round 1 or round 2. And we have a ton of events that will help you through the application navigation process, how to build a strong application, etc., throughout the time leading up to the deadlines. From an application components perspective, we assess your academic profile via the GMAT, GRE, and executive assessment. So you have those 3 testing options available to you. We do accept current and expired scores across the 3 testing options. We require you to submit your transcripts for undergraduate and graduate work. And for international students, we do have a TOEFL or IELTS requirement for English proficiency, though we have pretty generous waiver, kind of a waiver request form for the TOEFL or IELTS if you've been educated in an English-speaking country or if you've been working in an English-speaking country for several years. So check that out on the website as well. From a work experience perspective, we evaluate your professional trajectory via your resume. We require and accept only 1 professional recommendation. We like it to be from a current or previous supervisor. Making sure though that it's from a professional, a person that knows you professionally is really important. We usually see successful applications with folks that have 24 months or more work experience, though you can apply right out of undergrad. But generally speaking, applications are more successful if you have at least 2 years work experience. And then we have 2 essays, and interviews are by invitation only, and the interviews are going to be either done virtually or on campus in person by current students, alumni, and admissions officers. So I feel like I just gave you a bunch of information. So I'm going to keep the slide here, and I'm going to turn to the chat and see what questions do you all have. All right, there was a question about if we accept Duolingo as an English proficiency test, and we do not. We accept the TOEFL or the IELTS. There was a question about the letter of recommendation. So is the GMAC common letter of recommendation accepted? So we use the GMAC common letter of recommendation. So if you have your recommender answer that one, he or she will be able to answer ours as well. There's a question about if you're a permanent resident, should you still need to do the TOEFL? So the answer to that is actually not. So if you're a US citizen or permanent resident, you do not need to do the TOEFL or the IELTS. The general IELTS works. There was a question about the IELTS general or academic. So the general IELTS works. There was a question that came in about if I work in a family business, who should I ask to write a recommendation letter? Great question. So if you're unable to secure a current or a previous supervisor, we usually advise you to work with either a supplier or a key business partner that knows the work that you do professionally. So if you are basically going to be using anybody that is not your current or previous supervisor to write the letter of recommendation, we highly advise you to use the optional essay to let the admissions committee know who and why you selected for that letter of recommendation. So I think it is important for us to understand the context and your thought process in who you actually are selecting for your letter of recommendation. Are there minimum scores for the TOEFL or IELTS? So there are some cutoff scores that we use, but I am blanking, honestly, on them right now. It's been a long day. So if you want to send me an email, I will be able to share that with you and with anybody else that wants that information. So there was a question about ability to finish program in less than a year. So no, we are a 2-year program. So we expect you to stay with the program and complete the academic work for 2 years. It is required that you take at least 61 credit hours, which is a lot. You would not be able to complete that in 1 year. Oh, yes. Okay. So thank you, Cecilia. So 100 TOEFL and 7 on the IELTS is what you advise you to kind of go over. So I completely blanked on it. I thought that was the case, but then I was like, am I thinking of incorrectly? So thank you, Cecilia, for being my lifeline in that respect. So the last question, and I think it's a good one because I'm already over time. There was somebody that asked, what are the most common areas of improvement in the application package submitted by Latin American applicants? Any advice? So a couple of things that I'll highlight here. One is that you should be able to interact with Texas McCombs quite a bit, even though you are not in the US. So I would say that taking advantage of the opportunities to connect with admissions officers on my team and myself, connecting with current and former students is really key in building a strong application package. It is really important to highlight the work that you've done and the research of the school in the application itself. So it sounds sometimes like a little bit of name dropping or that you're tooting your own horn in the essays because you've done all this research, but it's important for us to understand that you are taking the application process seriously and really demonstrate the research that you've done in the school. It is also important for you to really hone in and focus on the accomplishments that you've had professionally. I feel like oftentimes in Latin America, we have a very collectivist society where it's kind of we and the group. I feel like Americans or Americans that are native to this country and have been born and raised here, there is very much sense of kind of individual opportunity and taking credit for kind of what has happened. So I would say for our Latin American students to be really proud of what you have accomplished to date, both academically and professionally, and do not be shy about showcasing what you've done and how you've driven your future and your professional kind of accomplishments to date. So it is okay to be kind of a little bit self-congratulatory during the application process, because we want to know what you're proud of. The last piece that I'll say is, as you are showcasing the accomplishments that you have, I think it's also important for you to highlight the times that you have made a mistake, or if you learned from something that did not go well, because that gives us an opportunity to have insight into how open you are to feedback and criticism, and how you take that to hopefully grow into a better person. So balance those two things really well in the application process. And I'll say that something that our Latin American students don't do enough of is highlighting the accomplishments that they had kind of personally and professionally because of who they are. So don't be shy. All right, Cecilia, I think that I am way over time, apologies. But I wanna thank everybody that is here for taking the time to learn a little bit more about Texas McCombs. Being originally from Brazil and having Latin America very much near and dear to my heart, I would love if you continue to consider Texas McCombs for your studies. And if you need any help, if you have questions, if you need a cheerleader, come to me, we'll make it work. And I'm really excited to hopefully meet you all in person in the near future. So I know that many countries in Latin America are having a hard time with COVID right now. You know, my dad is in Brazil, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles. We have individuals that have been hospitalized because of it. So I know that this is a really tough time for you and your families. So I want to say that I really commend you for continuing to pursue this. And if there's any way that I can help, really reach out to me, because I want to see you succeed. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. We were in a really bad place here in Texas back in January, and things have turned around really quickly. So I hope and kind of really think positive that things are going to turn around in Latin America as well. So muchas gracias and muito obrigado. And I hope you all have a great rest of Wednesday. Cecilia, do you need anything from me?
Yes, Rodrigo, just thank you very much for the presentation, for the advice about not being humble, because that's really, I fully agree with you. Like, as Latin Americans, we do all in groups, we join together, but we are too humble, and we have to portray our accomplishments in the application process. So please say that on the admissions panel on Saturday. Just, I mean, you've lived through it, you know the culture, so that would be very valuable. So
awesome.
Thank you, Rodrigo, and thank you everyone for joining us. For all of you, we invite you to the admission panel, to the alumni panel, and for those who have been invited to the one-on-one sessions, please confirm or decline your one-on-one sessions. Is really important, because it's a very valuable time that you have with universities, and we want to make the most out of it. So thank you very much. See you all on Saturday.
Awesome. All right. See everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.